Coming up, flying a big, fast Cessna. LA cops go after drones.
The last of the fly-ins and growing aviation through education. AOPA Live this week begins in just a moment.
Experience the thrill from closer than ever before when the world's fastest motorsports series takes to the sky. The Red Bull Air Race World Championship returns to Las Vegas Motor Speedway, October 17th and 18th. Tickets now on sale.
The 2015 AOPA Fly-In season is in the books. Thanks for choosing AOPA Live this week. I'm Tom Haynes.
And I'm Melissa Rudinger, and we're glad you're with us.
And many of you were with us this weekend in Tullahoma, Tennessee for the final 2015 AOPA Regional Fly-In. In spite of some wet weather, we had a great event.
More than 2,500 people made it out to the airport, and 330 airplanes flew in. The event was centered on the beautiful campus of the Beechcraft Heritage Museum. In the hangars, we had a Barnstormers party complete with Nashville music. And where else are you going to have an exhibit hall crowned with a beach starship?
Several hundred people got together for the Pilot Town Hall at Tullahoma. AOPA President Mark Baker and other association leaders answered questions, and Melissa here talked with the crowd about the FAA's new compliance policy.
The idea is that we want to do everything we can to bring the pilot back into compliance, not punish them. It's education, it's training, it's communication, and it's making sure that it's a risk-based approach to the system. And it doesn't do any good if somebody busts Class B airspace to suspend their license for 6 months. That doesn't address the issue. If it was inadvertent, the best thing to do would do a training flight, or some sort of remedial training, and not make it punitive. We want people to fly. We don't want people to be afraid of gotchas.
You'll remember we told you last week about the FAA's culture shift when it comes to compliance actions.
The crowd had a lot of good questions for Mark. One of the topics he covered was the idea of privatizing air traffic control services.
If ATO should be spun out and become privatized, which I'm not for or against at the moment, we would look at that as long as we don't have any user fees, we don't lose access to the airspace, and we would take a look at it. Is there a more efficient way to become, modernized with air traffic control? Now, I can fall back on an example where that actually did work. Flight service stations. How many of you guys went out there and had somebody draw you a little map about 20 years ago and tell you that this thunderstorm looked like it was about here? Yeah, right? That was really good maps, too. But that cost us about $500 million a year 20 years ago. Today, the bidding is reopened for flight services. It's probably going to be a $40, $50 million deal now because of Lockheed and others taking costs out, becoming more efficient. Is it potentially possible in air traffic control we could actually get more remote control towers with better technologies, or get better traffic separation for lower costs? I think the answer is possibly. We want to be part of that conversation. So as you'll see where AOPA takes this view, but it comes back to no user fees, ever, never. We're done talking about it, and we think we get that done.
As we said, the fly-ins have been a wild success for us this year.
But we couldn't make any of it happen without the dedicated volunteers that give up their time to help out. AOPA Live's Paul Harrop caught up with a few of them.
Whether it's carting crates, schlepping sandbags,
how many do we need?
Or any other task, Michael Clifford knows the drill. He's used to hard work.
Going to MTSU, and I'm in their aerospace program to be a professional pilot. I'm a freshman, and it's been a blast so far. I hope to do regional airlines. I have about 20 hours under my belt so far. I've soloed in a 152, but that's about it so far.
Well, in the air at least. On the ground, he's working hard as one of the hundreds of volunteers that made the Tullahoma Regional Fly-In possible.
All these tables that you see behind me, I had to set up, wipe them all down, put some stands down, and the umbrellas that they have in them.
And his day started, thank goodness, way earlier than mine.
It was about an hour-and-a-half drive, so I got up at around 4 o'clock, so it was pretty tough for me.
And you drug your friend with you, too.
Yeah, I did. I picked him up in Murfreesboro.
We helped some exhibitors to set up and everything, and Honestly, it was just amazing to see all those kind of airplanes over there.
None of this can happen without the help from Abdullah, Michael, and legions of others who gave up their day to do some really glamorous work.
Just look around, see if trash, if exhibitors need anything. But
we sincerely couldn't have done it without them.
Perfect.
In Tullahoma, Paul Harrop, AOPA Live.
Thanks, Paul, and thanks to all of our volunteers who helped us make it a great year.
Well, one of our volunteers has gone above and beyond everyone else. Ed Loxter-Camp has been to every single regional fly-in since we started them last year, and he has volunteered at most of them.
Mark Baker's fault I do all of this stuff. When he started doing these regional fly-ins, it's like, wow, now I have an excuse. I have a reason to go somewhere and hear what's going on. What is he doing with my money? So now I spend more money to go hear what he's doing with my little money.
Well, Mark accepts the blame as well. He brought Ed up on stage to honor him for his dedication.
And it's never too early to get your planning started for our 2016 fly-ins. They start in May in Beaufort, North Carolina. We'll also hit Battle Creek, Michigan, Bremerton, Washington, and Prescott, Arizona. Find out more and start saving the dates at aopa.org/fly-in. Okay, so we saw in the piece earlier, it takes a lot of people to pull these fly-ins off. We all pitch in and do what it takes, and we bring our different talents to help.
Well, we finally have proof that AOPA Live's Paul Harrop is just full of hot air. He filled in as airshow announcer for Greg Kuntz's aerobatic demonstration in Tullahoma.
And a round of applause for Mr. Greg Kuntz as he rolls that airplane one more time before pulling up towards the end of the box.
Well, way to go, Paul. Nice to see you branching out. You know, if this gig doesn't work out, you got other options.
I definitely think he's got options for sure. Coming up after the break, another way to grow the GA community.
And LA cops are going after drones. AOPA Live this week continues in a moment.
Brightline, instruments for professionals.
Welcome back. You're watching AOPA Live this week, coming to you from our studios in beautiful downtown Frederick. Well, actually here at the Frederick Airport. That's FDK.
And we in aviation, we do love our acronyms. There's TFR, VFR, SFAR, STAR, SID, STEM. Well, that last one isn't usually in the list of aviation acronyms, but it should be. STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math Education. And what better way than aviation to teach kids those skills? Which is why AOPA is reaching out to strengthen aviation education in high school STEM programs.
We want to see more programs at more high schools. We want to be able to provide support so that those programs can grow. We want to provide support to those existing programs. We know that there's a growing movement, and we want to help that movement happen.
Next month in Lakeland, AOPA will host a symposium on the Sun and Fun grounds. It's part of the AOPA Aviation Education Leadership Alliance. Teachers and others with an interest in furthering aviation education, they're invited to attend. You can get details at aopa.org/AVED. Bad boy, what you gonna do when they come for you, especially if you're a drone operator?
The LA police are hot on the trail of drone operators. That's because LA police helicopters are seeing drones flying above 400 feet AGL over their city every day. CBS News reported this week that there have been more than 100 drone sightings and one near miss of less than 50 feet. They caught that operator, and he has been charged with police interference. He could spend up to a year in jail if convicted.
And while drone operators are supposed to fly below 400 feet AGL, in some places even that is too high. Consider that aerial applicators fly at 20 feet AGL. Tests in Colorado earlier this month showed that it was much more difficult for ag pilots to see and avoid drones than anyone anticipated. The Think Before You Launch Consortium did the tests. The consortium has a website that they say adds to the basic education for drone operators found in the Know Before You Fly campaign. So when everybody is flying by the rules and recommendations, there still can be conflicts between drones and manned aircraft. So what can you do?
Well, for drone pilots, education is key. Two websites are good starting points. We've already mentioned the Know Before You Fly and Think Before You Launch. And AirMap has an app that will show drone pilots airspace they need to avoid. The FAA is working on a similar app, but it's not ready for the public yet. Lockheed Martin Flight Service has a UAS tab where drone pilots can input where they'll be flying. Pilots can check the tab to see on a map where they might encounter drones. Commercial drone pilots will likely participate in that, but the much more numerous recreational drone folks aren't likely to use it.
So last week from Memphis, you told us where the FAA might be regarding regulations for drones, behind schedule, as I recall. So is there a technology solution to help get us there?
There are a lot of promising solutions. In fact, the FAA announced last week, as a part of what it's calling its Pathfinder project, a partnership with a company called CACI that actually has an application that is a sense and avoid application that they're testing. So there is hope for the future.
Okay, well, that's good news. And finally, did you ever think you could lie down sideways in a Cessna cabin? Not that you would, but you could in the new Cessna Citation Latitude bizjet. It has the widest cabin in the Citation line, 6.5 feet. Last week, Tom Horne showed you how they put the big bird together. This week, he samples its flying qualities.
Let's take a look at Textron's brand new Citation Latitude. It's a mid-sized jet with moderately swept wings. It can fly passengers up to 2,850 nautical miles in style and comfort, thanks to its wide, stand-up cabin and flat floor. Basically, the Latitude is a greatly cabin-enhanced Citation Sovereign Plus. Here's a completed Latitude demonstrator, and I'm about to get my evaluation flight with Errol Wirtz and UJ Pezzonen. We do a walk-around and scope out the air stair door and large baggage compartment, plus all the other accessible items. The cockpit is just like the Sovereigns, so if you're rated in a Sovereign, it won't take much to qualify in a Latitude. Speeds are set, we're lined up, and the auto throttles go to takeoff power. Takeoff speeds come quickly, and soon we're off and climbing. By the time we pass flight level 420, a mere 22 minutes has elapsed. While up front, we've set the auto throttles for a slower airspeed. Like an invisible hand, the throttles dial back the power so that the selected speed is matched exactly. Steep turns come next. Roll forces are high in the Latitude, even with ailerons and spoilers to help hold the bank angle. For the landing, VREF was set at 96 knots. The auto throttles make it so, and at 50 feet AGL, they kick off automatically. Then it's flare, touchdown, deploy speed brakes, wheel brakes, and apply reverse thrust. Thanks for riding along. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Tom Horne, AOPA Live.
Thanks, Tom. That is some airplane. Great technology. You'll be able to read all about it and much more in the upcoming November issue of AOPA Pilot Turbine Edition. Digital edition is already out.
And that'll do it for us this week. I'm Melissa Rudinger.
I'm Tom Haynes. See you next Thursday.